Hello, everyone. Welcome to another podcast episode that I do with one of my friends, which is, as far as I'm concerned, the only kind of podcast you want to do. Today, I am talking with, this was actually recorded a couple months ago. Me and my best friend Matt, we did a poem a day challenge for the month of July, and then we talked about it. I think it wasn't until September that we actually sat down, might have been end of August that we sat down and talked about it. Um, but yeah, Matt and I, just as some background, we met in grad school where we were both at the same creative writing program together. And this was one of the, we talk about it a little bit in the episode, but this was one of the sort of creative writing exercises or activities that we've long kind of batted around doing, and we finally got the chance to do it. Without further ado, let's get into it. I have secretly hidden two of my poems inside this podcast episode, so you'll have to listen through to see if you can find them. That's the only way you'll find them, is if you listen all the way through. Um, and I use them as kind of brief, I don't know, commercial breaks to break up the conversation. Other than that, thank you so much for listening and enjoy our conversation. Okay, so Matt, why are we here today?
I know why we're here. We're here to talk about the little project I forced you into, or I coerced you into taking on during the month of July, the Poem a Day
Not the
Challenge.
first time you've tried to coerce me into this, I feel like.
But the first time I've succeeded, and I'm happy for that. I'm actually really happy with some of the results of it. I haven't really, to be honest, whenever I've done this a few times now, and whenever I do this, I write a poem each day of the month, and then generally I don't go back and look at them for a couple weeks after. I give myself some space between like writing them and editing them. I just get like a bunch of shit down and then revisit it later. So I think I'm pretty happy with a lot of what I wrote this last time, but I haven't really reread it enough to say for sure yet.
What's your history with Poem a Day? Like, what was the first time you did it? You said you did this a couple of times?
Yeah, I think this is the third time now that I've done it. So the first time I think I was the happiest with the results. A lot of those are, I think, like poems that I can really and poems that I haven't sent them out to be published or anything, but that's just because I've been lazy. But poems that I think are actually like really solid. The second time, I didn't get back to editing them enough. There's probably a few that are usable, but I wasn't as happy with those. Basically, the history with me doing this, they at Chapman, one of the poetry teachers there, Anna Leahy, she has her students do that when they take her poetry class. And I signed up for a poetry class at Chapman, and I was kind of like expecting to do that, and I was also expecting to have a poetry reading that they usually do for like Chapman poetry students. Um, but the semester I took a poetry class, it was a different teacher, and she didn't do the poem a day thing. And then on top of that, they brought in all these like guest poets and had them read instead of the Chapman poets. So I felt kind of like robbed of that experience, and so I just made myself do it. I just did it on my own. I think the first time I did it was February of 2023, if I were to guess, maybe 2022. Uh,
Okay.
and
So this
yeah, it was a
wasn't
couple
something
years
you
ago.
ever did like in wait, was this or was this not something you did like as coursework ever?
No, I never did it as coursework, and it was something
Okay.
I kind
Yeah.
of wanted to do. I wanted to be forced to do it because I didn't think I would
Yeah.
be motivated enough to do it on my own. Um, but no one ever forced me to. I finally did force myself to do it, and yeah, again, really,
Okay.
really happy with that decision. And I think it was February. I don't remember for sure. I do feel like it was February when I did it, so I like cheated and picked the shortest month. Um, but yeah,
Oh,
it
okay.
was a rewarding experience. It was nice to just kind of get in the habit of doing it every day, and you don't overthink it. That was my one real rule when I do this is I don't overthink or edit what I write at all. I just kind of get ideas down and see what I can make of them later.
Yeah. So this is my first time ever doing a poem a day thing. Um,
Yeah.
I do remember like hearing when they like people would talk about doing it as part of I think the coursework at Chapman. Um, and I'm trying to remember like I don't ever remember doing anything like a daily exercise within any of the techniques or like the workshop classes. Do you?
No, they definitely didn't assign anything like that, at least in any of the classes I took.
Yeah. Um, I mean, yeah, like at most you'd have like a weekly assignment or something in any of my coursework that I did.
Yeah,
Um,
there was I think maybe when I took techniques, that intro course that they have us take, I think we
yeah,
had someone come in and like pitch the idea of trying to write 2,000 words a day every day.
my
And
goodness.
for yeah, it's a lot. I tried it. And I think there was one point where I was like keeping up with that for a little while. Um,
Yeah,
but not very long. And 2,000 words is, you know, a good goal, a hefty goal for a day of writing. And it is cool though. There is something really rewarding about getting in that regular practice and just getting shit down, even if it's shit. But yeah, it can be
yeah.
kind of hard to maintain.
Well, what is that? What is like when you're first attacking the page, like, and you're trying to get the shit down? What are your like first percolations in terms of how you're like trying to structure it together? Like, do you have an overall goal and like how ambitious is it given like it's a poem a day thing?
Yeah, I mean, I think it varies a lot from day to day. So, I mean, one of the reasons I switched to writing more poetry than prose is because I really get intimidated by the blank page with prose. I have a very hard time getting started. I love editing. I could edit myself to death. Like I
Sure.
really, really enjoy revising, but the blank page for prose is so intimidating for me. Whereas with poetry, it's really not intimidating at all, and it kind of varies like whatever topic I kind of get on that day. Some days I'll really feel motivated to write more of like a prose poem and I'll just write like a paragraph or two that are kind of more poetic. Other
Yeah.
days I'll just do like couplets. Other days I'll just start writing and get in a rhythm, like kind of feel the rhythm of what's happening and kind of break it up based on that. Other days, if I'm feeling kind of like less inspired, I will find a poetic form and just start writing in that form and let the structure of the poem kind of like inspire me a little bit. Like pantoums, I love turning to a pantoum every now and then and writing one of those.
What's a
Have you ever
pantoum
written?
again?
Pantoum is like okay, each stanza is 4 lines, and I think it's like I need to always relook at the rules for it every time before I start writing it. But I think it's like the second line and the fourth line, I want to say, carry over into the second stanza and become like the first line and the third line of the second stanza.
Oh,
And
okay.
then the second and the fourth become, of the next stanza. They keep carrying over. And then at the very end, you go back and you pull like the first and the third stanza and bring it
Yeah.
in. Yeah. So I'll just find forms like that that are kind of fun to play around with sometimes and let them kind of like inspire me.
Yeah,
Um,
or like let that just sort of like sometimes you just need the structure or the borders of the thing in order to just like
yeah,
hem you in and give you
exactly.
like give some
Exactly.
just put some kind of shape to it. Um
Exactly. And I do think shape is actually what gets me going more than anything with poems. So like I think that
like
like
do
when
you
I have
like
the
try to
yeah.
see the shape on the blank page or do you like try to think
Yeah.
about what looks interesting just almost geometrically?
Sometimes both. So I mean, like, I think that, like, sometimes I'll really just let the shape like carry the poem, like we were talking about with like the pantoum or whatever.
Hmm.
Other times I'll start writing. I'll have like, a lot of times like the first line or like a line that like will be at the heart of the poem will come to me like when I'm taking a shower or something, and I'll
Yeah.
write that down and let that kind of guide everything else or like build everything around that. But like, I kind of, as I start writing, I kind of imagine what the shape of the poem will be and like fill that shape in, if that makes sense.
Yeah. That no, no, that definitely does.
Yeah.
There's definitely um like I sort of attack it very much with the I want to start off, if at least in my mind, if not like early in the day. Actually, okay, there's another good question before I continue. What time
Yeah,
of
yeah.
day do you typically end up writing these?
I'm happiest with what I write when I write in the morning.
Okay.
I typically write at night. Like,
Yeah.
there were a lot of like, oh fuck, I got to get this done before I go to bed,
Yeah.
moments for sure with this. And sometimes those turned out all right. Other times those turned out like, often it was more like I would start scribbling at an idea, and the poem, like, I would consider the poem finished for now. But it was more like, okay, I'm gonna have fun coming back to this one. Like, I know this is nowhere near done. I like a couple lines from it. I like the idea that I'm like digging into with it, but like
Yeah.
whatever I wrote now is absolute bullshit. So yeah, I'm best when I write in the morning. I'm very very happy with the results almost every time. Or even if I write like in the early evening, but if I write right before bed, it's more often than not going to be bullshit.
Okay, that's
How about you,
interesting.
Nate? How about you? Yeah, what do you like writing, and do you have similar
I
experiences with that like before bed poem?
I mean, I always like writing at night anyway.
Hmm.
Because that is a it for me, like writing sometimes is like a closing out sort of activity of the day.
Okay.
In terms of because like most of the writing I do on a day-to-day basis is like just journaling stuff, which I've been doing just more of like most of like this calendar year, let's say.
Yeah.
Um, and so I think that does kind of like engender a sort of just psychological trick in your mind where you're like closing out the narrative of the day. And so I think that I am somewhat I don't necessarily feel like I'm rushing or like trying to bullshit my way through stuff if it's like late at night. Um because that's, the time when I normally go to it. But there were definitely days cuz we were we were like doing text check-ins like basically every
Yeah.
day, and sort of keeping ourselves accountable. And like there were several points, like definitely during vacation I was just like, I'm not necessarily gonna get to this.
Yeah.
um and
I
all
think that's fair too. As long as you make it up,
you make it up.
as long as you get those 30/31 slash if it's February 28 poems done,
Yeah.
there's a
what
little
was
wiggle room.
the what was like, I think the longest I got behind was like 2 or 3 days on this.
For me,
Were
just one
you
day.
ever
I never
like,
got more
how
than
what was the worst? Yeah.
literally like this. Other times I was a lot worse. Like I said, we were talking about before we started recording. I'm trying to carry it over into this month. I'm gonna probably when we get done tonight, I'm gonna make up for the days I've missed. I'm way behind right now for August, but I did really good in July. I think the texting you and holding myself accountable that way like really kept me accountable. I think the worst I ever did was like the next morning.
Yeah. And it definitely does, the nudge is helpful. There was this app that I used to have with a couple other people at Chapman where they were like, it's basically just like a check-in like app where you just hit the check-in and it notifies all of them that I hit my reading goal for today, type of
That's
thing.
actually kind of that would be. I need to do that for myself. I need you know what I need? I was just talking during this disconnect. I was talking to Riverbot, who is totally useless. The recording studios AI bot.
Yeah.
But I need a more useful AI to nudge me every now and then.
Did you use any AI for any of your poems?
No, but when AI first started rolling out, I loved it so much. I used it for so much stupid bullshit. Just having fun trying to
Mostly
break
like
it.
image creation stuff, right?
Image creation, but also getting it to say really funny things. Like one
Sure.
time, I got it to like tell me how to grow mushrooms as Buzz Lightyear. And it broke while it was doing that. It just goes to infinity and beyond, and like just kept saying O's for like fucking way too many O's.
Yeah.
Um, so that was a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun with that. But now like teaching, I'm having so many students turn in AI generated papers and it's pissing me off. And then like just the ecological damage from it and like, just seeing how fucking stupid it's making people. I sent you that subreddit about like my boyfriend is an AI.
Yeah.
And I've been reading more and more from like people who date AI
Oh
and
yeah. Those people
it's
are losing
so
their hats
bad.
right now.
Someone in Orange killed themselves recently because their AI told them to.
No cheese.
Yeah. So it's like it's
Well, that could have happened to anyone. It's not the tech company's fault. You're not saying that,
no,
are
yeah,
you?
certainly. No, I'm definitely saying that person probably, if AI is going to convince you to kill yourself, but my point being, I am like less and less inclined to use AI for anything now, just because I'm really becoming like repulsed with it as like a thing. I'm becoming a luddite with when it comes to AI. So
Yeah.
we'll see.
No.
But no, I wouldn't use it for any poems. I don't like it for like creative purposes unless the creativity is like involving AI, and I don't want to do that with my own poems. My own poems are generally like very personal subject matter, um, and
Do
I
you
don't.
go for like, yeah, like, do you go? Is that one of the things like you kind of go for, or kind of go to immediately with poems? Um, I mean, I guess I could ask it more open endedly. What sort of things do you go for? What are like common things or themes you end up talking about or going back to in poetry that you write?
Yeah. So it's interesting when you were talking about journaling earlier and like kind
Uh
of
huh.
closing out your day and processing your day with journaling, and I think poetry kind of does that a little bit for me, but in a more um, internal than external way, I guess. I don't know. Like I feel like when I journal, I both describe like the external factors of my day and my observations and stuff like that. Whereas my poetry is like much more like my internal state, I feel like, and not as much external
Okay.
observations.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, if that, yeah.
The
So
journaling is like the just the facts type of uh
yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
And then
And
the
this it's feelings. And facts don't care about your feelings, but your
well,
feelings care
facts
about
care about my
facts.
feelings because my
Oh,
all of my feelings are factual.
okay. Sure.
I'm actually perfectly sound in logic, and that's how I arrive at all my feelings.
Look, man, it's a fact that I have feelings. I can say that. I don't know
You
if
could
my
say it's a
feelings are
fact,
facts.
Jack.
Yeah, it's a fact, Jack. But no, like for subject matter, it was like this time around and this I mean like I think generally I do have kind of like themes that I hit on a lot with my poetry, and I mean like my prose, I was writing a lot of like memoir and shit before, and I kind of just like translated that, I feel like, to poetry eventually when I started writing poetry. But this past month there was a lot of like there was definitely like a through line for all of it. Like it was like there was kind of two different stories or two different like things that or like strings I was kind of pulling at, and they kind of met somewhere along the way to a certain degree too. But
Are these
at
like
the beginning,
narratives in your life that are going on,
yeah,
or
yeah, two different narratives, and I
okay?
kind of like, yeah, they kind of like branched together eventually. It was at the beginning of the month. We went out for a friend of ours, Mike's birthday, the karaoke thing,
Yeah,
and earlier while we were eating dinner, I told some story about my dad and some fucked up shit my dad did, and
right,
our other friend was like, "Oh my God, Matt, you were abused as a child. Like that's abuse. They're like, holy shit."
right,
And like I've never really like thought of it that way before. Like I
right.
thought I was telling kind of a funny story, even though I knew it was kind
Yeah,
of fucked up.
funny, crazy story about your wacky parents.
Yeah, exactly. That funny time my dad used to lock me in my bedroom and turn off all the lights and listen to me scream. Um, like lock me in there with clowns that I was terrified of. Put fucking clown wallpaper up and shit. Like, so yeah, I mean, I was telling that story and Liz said that, and that like really like fucked with my head afterwards. I'm
Yeah.
like, oh man, like was I abused? Like was it abuse? And like I've gone to therapy and shit, and like I've done
Mhm.
a lot of work to like um make my relationship good with my family, and
Yeah.
I've put a lot of the problems that I've had in my past on myself. Because I was definitely not a saint. But then again, like our friend was like, Matt, you were a child. Like, when a lot of this, you were like a little child. Like, so it was like, I think a lot of my poems this past month were like reframing a lot of things and unsorting a lot of things. So like one of the through lines, oh my God, I forgot what it's called. That type of therapy where they like move the finger, you follow like a finger, and like it's not
Hypnosis?
hypnosis.
Oh,
Nope,
oh,
nope, not hypnosis. EMDR, like,
I don't know what it's called.
oh my God, maybe EMDR.
ASMR.
Not ASMR. I think I'm combining whatever it really is with ASMR. But anyways, like it's this type of therapy where like you kind of like it's kind of hypnosisy, but
Huh.
you like kind of think about the thing that like triggers you or triggers some sort of emotional response in you while you're like following the doctor's finger, and then like somehow this process kind of like neutralizes your emotional response to something. I don't know. I don't understand how it
Interesting.
works, but it works really fucking well. Whatever it is, it worked. Like I only had one session of doing that, and it really fucking like there's my dad when he gets mad, his face like scrunches up and turns red, and like I have this like image of him like that used to
Yeah.
like get me ready to fight too when I would see his face kind of get like that. And so we
Yeah.
had this one therapy session where he like was doing that, and like he had me thinking about my dad's like red face, and it neutralized it completely. Like I don't react to my dad anymore like at all like I
Oh,
used to.
interesting.
I never reacted with like anger, and now I'm like I went from being kind of like a spark plug in the family to like the peacekeeper with them, and I'm able to like mediate their fights, and like it's weird. It really did. I mean, it was fucking phenomenal therapy. But like then like when our friend said that thing about me being abused, I'm like, wait, is it good that I like did this? Like, am I just kind of like burying something? And so I think a lot of the poems that I was writing this last time, I kind of did this like trick with the like following the finger thing, and I was kind of like writing along with that and kind of like,
Oh, interesting.
yeah, I used that as a device. That was kind of a through line in a lot of it. Like I kept going back to following the finger. That was a line that got repeated in a lot of the poems, and it
Okay.
was,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
That's
So like
interesting.
going from the present to the past and kind of revisiting a lot of stuff. And then
Okay.
also, I feel like I'm talking a lot now, but I'll go with the one other. I love to talk.
Go
Whatever.
ahead. Go ahead.
The one other through line is like right at the beginning of this month was when I had a falling out with a friend earlier this year, and I thought I was never going to see that person again, and I was just making peace with that, and then they kind of like pop back up into my life in a really fucked up way, where there's still no closure with the fight or anything, but now like I'm forced to like see that person again very regularly,
Right.
And so that was the other through line, and it was kind of connecting the past family trauma with like my behavior now, and kind of finding a connection between those things. So
Okay.
yeah, very very autobiographical and very psych- psychiatric evaluation of the self, I guess, and going
Yeah.
through my psyche a little bit. But yeah, that's what I did this last month. How
So
about you? What was yeah.
for the
Yeah,
listeners'
yeah.
edification, EMDR therapy is eye movement desensitization and reprocessing therapy.
Yeah, it's
And
cool
that
as
is what,
fuck.
yeah. It's
It works really well.
yeah. I'll have to, yeah, read more into it. Yeah, no, I think I've only heard about it from, I feel like I've heard about it from somewhere else, but I can't remember from where else, but yeah, I feel like you're the only person that I can remember describing it to me.
Yeah, one of my professors at Chapman told me about it and
Okay.
referred me to the doctor who did it. And thank you, Sam Dunn. You were a lifesaver. That was really got me through some tough shit.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was really helpful.
There like in terms of common themes, I did one of the things I noticed and I think this is not that surprising given that again, writing a lot of these near bedtime, but there was a lot of like either use of the words like hush and shush and wish and like very calming and quiet and calming and quiet like types of words like that. Um and so that was something that yeah, I noticed almost immediately. I did also and this was one of those things that I some days I was like, I don't know if I should write about this, but I just ended up writing a lot about basically like observations of homeless people.
Mm.
Um, because I just see them on like a daily basis outside my door just all the time. And um, I can't help but I think that was one of those things where it was both something I was drawn to, but at other times I was like, if it got like too embarrassing or I felt too stupid, I would like try to censor myself with it. Um, and then the last one of the other things that I found myself like thinking very poetically about or coming back to again and again was um, just like the American in his car.
Hmm.
Because it is like I was definitely I was definitely thinking about America a lot. I mean, it's July, so it's kind of it's America's birthday month. But I also there were and this can get into well, we kind of I don't know if we talked about we talked a little bit about form. But one of the things that I ended up doing sometimes because I thought it would be easier, sometimes just because I wanted to do it as a gag. But I would do like parodies of songs. So at
Okay.
some point, I did like a parody of the national anthem.
Oh, interesting.
It was like kind of a very bad, stupid parody, but it was. But like I went to a baseball game, and you know they did the national anthem. Good for them. And so that was like my form for the day.
Okay. That's interesting. Now, you talked about, well, there's two things I kind of want to ask you about.
Yeah.
First off, you talked about censoring yourself a little bit.
Yeah.
Is that an issue you have when you're writing poems often? Like, do you put blocks on yourself, and do you get like embarrassed by what you're writing, or what is that self censoring process like for you? Do you ever push through it? Do you ever like write into the embarrassing content, or um,
Yeah,
yeah, how
sure.
does censorship play into yeah?
Um, I mean, I think we all there are a lot of like anodyne ways in which I engage in censorship just in terms of like I'm not going to write about that. So like one of those is like work.
Okay.
Like I didn't want to write like I think I had one little thing that was really like a work poem because it was like okay, and really it was honestly kind of notes for a poem at work. I don't know if you had any of those, but it's like it was almost more like the notes of an idea of a poem.
There's a
But
few of my poems that ended up more like that, like kind of
yeah,
notes for now. And like I kind of structured them poetically, I guess, so to speak. But yeah, they're definitely more notes than a
yeah,
poem. Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
yeah. But there are like sometimes one of the things that I very much tried at different times. There were a couple times where this got in because like I'm reading obviously the news every day and like particularly stuff about Palestine as like
Yeah,
the sort of as like the famine and all of these sort of all these malnutrition deaths like break through like that was
yeah,
kind of that was like July when that felt like we finally I don't know hit some kind of like famine I don't know watershed or whatever
yeah.
in the uh in the deluge of the news and so I like there were several different times I maybe tried to write from some kind of Palestinian perspective,
Mm.
but then most of it um was it felt like bullshit.
That would be
um
really tough. That would be a really fucking tough poem to pull off, as
yeah,
a couple of white dudes from SoCal.
but it's
Yeah,
still like that is also like that's part of like what I feel like poetry allows you to do or writing allows you to do is like
yeah.
we'll just play with the embarrassment, just experiment with the embarrassment, and then if you don't like it you can censor yourself kind of thing.
Absolutely. It's interesting. I feel like I don't know if I ever do censor myself. Like, I write pretty embarrassing shit. I mean, you've read my memoir. I'm just like, fuck it.
Yeah,
Let's talk about the most humiliating shit that's ever happened to you. But I feel like with my process, it's like if I want to write about something bad enough, I'm gonna write about it in an uncensored way. I might not share everything with everyone, but like, I don't think I've ever dug into something and been like, oh no, like I don't think I should write this, or like this is too embarrassing this is too embarrassing of topic for me to like
yeah.
write about or anything like that. I think for me, I have like a cat. I think that like if I actually have the motivation to write about something, generally I'm going to write about something I feel like confident writing about, if that makes sense, or
And
like
so you're only confident writing about your embarrassments.
I guess so, man. Like, well, yeah, like I mean, I'm such a fucking narcissist. Like, all of my writing is about me, so I'm just like, anything goes. Like, I can write about, like anything that's filtered through the lens of my own experience. I don't give a fuck. I'll like write about it, and I don't think I veer outside of myself enough to like reach topics that I might censor myself about. I'm pretty uncensored when it comes to myself.
Yeah.
And hearing you talk about like some of your like writing about observing homeless people or whatever, like observing the world, like I haven't done that enough with my poetry. I used to do that a
Yeah.
lot more with prose, but like yeah, with poetry I haven't done that as much, and now I'm kind of like curious what I feel like I've dove so deep into myself this past month, especially, that I think if I do this again, now granted, I am doing it again right now for August, but it's been kind of a continuation of July's themes.
Yeah.
I do want to shift to what you're describing a little bit more. I think the observational poetry might be interesting, and there's a lot to fucking observe right now and kind of reflect on.
Yeah. That's I will also say that Long Beach is very much a people watching kind of town.
Yeah, Tustin is not.
No, but it's trying to be.
It's trying to be. It's got
Or
we're
is it?
right.
It really isn't.
We're right by Santa Ana. Santa Ana could be. There's definitely parts of Santa Ana that are people watching. Not like Long Beach though. Long Beach is
Yeah.
very good people watching.
July 9. Day ends in dewdrops of memory. Gentle children resting on this published mattress. Velvet ash, desert willow, honey mesquite, California buckeye. Amidst plaster, glass, and concrete, muttering beauty, shushing streets. The way the wind lifts, comforts, kisses, lays me down to sleep. Home is the motion you can't do without. Liquor store, brown honey robes, rich neons that feast on the night. The monk holding lotto tickets as he nears his fellow transient citizen.
The other question I wanted to ask though, perspective, or like who is the narrator of your poems? Who is the central voice of your poems? Do you ever play with that at all with narration, with who the narrator is? Do you ever get lost with who is telling your poem, with the voices that exist within your poem, or how does that work for you?
They're mostly, yeah, like just me. Um, the I'm kind of scrolling through. I mean, so they're mostly me. There's let me see. Yeah, the only time I feel like it's not when it's not like specifically me, then it gets even more into because I was around some beautiful nature as part of my vacation
Yeah.
this this month. So there are just some there are some poems where you're trying to like where I'm trying to like disembody it, where it
Yeah.
is basically still observational, but I do like one of the little rules I make inside my head is okay, well, don't have an I or a me kind of voice. Just like,
Okay.
describe a scene in nature or something.
Yeah.
Um, and then there are the parody songs that I do. So those are like just, I don't know, those are just songs. But some of them, some of them are just me being a little slightly, yeah, they're just me being me. Um, I I mean, are you ever you were talking about how you were so like interior and focused on yourself. Are you ever like writing outside of your perspective?
You know, when I've workshopped my poems before or brought my poems to workshops, one of the critiques that I've gotten a lot is that um, I switch back and forth between first person and second person perspective a lot. And I feel like
Okay.
it's always me, but sometimes it's me getting like schizophrenic and talking to myself or something.
Yeah.
And or like to past versions of self or whatever. And I usually do it subconsciously. Like I realized this time, like I was switching between first and second person perspective
Yeah.
in the middle of one poem, and I knew what I was doing while I was doing it. But when I read it back afterwards, just briefly, I was like, oh shit, like it actually doesn't even make sense to do it that way. Like, why did you do it like that? And so I think that's something that I just let happen while I'm writing it, but I've been more aware of like that when I've been editing recently. And I've had
Yeah.
to kind of like check myself, like who is narrating right now? Um, why am I using like why is this voice narrating? Would it make more sense to um, stay I the whole time, or is there someone else or some other voice like speaking to the real I of the poem or whatever? And that's something that's tricky for me that I play with a lot, and that I yeah, don't have enough control over yet. Like I feel like I have a lot more control during the editing process, but while I'm just kind of writing, I guess I do
Yeah.
get kind of like schizophrenic with it. Like I don't know, like there's like a passive observer me that like kind of like jumps in and takes the lead sometimes, and then like I get like really
Okay.
in myself, and I'm very like I about it. But yeah,
Interesting. Yeah. I no, I think it can be like a good exercise, poetically speaking, to like force yourself to like not write it through your perspective, but these were, yeah, largely mine were very like, yeah, me centered. Like they were still within,
yeah,
they were still, the narrator was still inside a body.
yeah. Well, it's interesting the way you said that. Like I'm thinking about how some of mine might work now if I take the narrator out of it, and
Sure, like
detach
strip it
that extra
down.
life. Yeah, and like really, I talked about the outside observer or whatever, and like the outside voice, like the second person perspective, like talking at the narrator or whatever,
Yeah,
but like an even more distant voice talking about the narrator or talking about the subject of the poem instead. Seems like it could be an interesting.
a
And let's
literal
get
third person.
yeah, literal third person. Let's get even, like let's see how many selves I can strip out of myself. Let's see how schizophrenic we can get with this shit. But yeah, it is interesting how that perspective shift can really play into the way um, a reader understands the poem, I guess.
Yeah. Did you have any funny poems this month?
No,
Oh, okay.
I struggle. I know, dude. I struggle so much with humor in poems.
Sure.
My life is kind of I feel like I'm a clown. Like
Okay.
I feel like I put on the clown act all the time, and
Right. So you're
I'm
trying to do
very
anything but once you come to poetry.
yeah. I get like so much serious, and like writing in general. It's hard for me to be humorous with my writing. I can do it sometimes,
Yeah.
but it's really really tough for me to be funny with writing. Like I just like I feel like for me,
It is
humor
a
is
very
such.
like particular and specific skill, I would say.
It
Like I don't,
is.
yeah. It's
And I can pull it off. I used to be able to pull it off better, I feel like, but like now it's just so I don't know. So much of my humor is like embodied and like is like an act. I guess I feel like I just like facial
which is
expressions
why
and
you're a
gestures,
podcaster.
which is why I'm a podcaster. No, but like my voice and everything too. Like all of it. Like it comes out through speech, like the performance of speaking and everything. And it's such a different experience, like performing speech than like
Yeah.
performing writing. So yeah, I struggle with that. Did you have any poems that you thought were funny?
Um there was one, not like hugely funny. Some of them are like some of the parody stuff where, I'm making fun of America and the national
Yeah,
anthem in a very like just childish way. Like it really wasn't like a that wasn't one of the good poems, but that's
yeah,
just
yeah,
a good example.
yeah.
It's like, I'm being effectively gosh, one of the okay, no, I didn't do it with the stars, but one of the I think it was the like my country tis of thee, but if like a Bush era liberal wrote it or
Fuck
something.
yeah.
And so it's not actually funny, but it is taking the shape of humor. There was one I thought the one funny one I did was when I read about the dead mouse, or when I wrote about the dead mouse, which was July 2nd.
What was the dead mouse? What you
I
found a
killed a
dead mouse?
mouse.
Oh.
I had a mouse trap, and I caught a mouse in my mouse trap.
Oh.
So I wrote an
That's
ode
sad.
to him.
Okay.
Or
Well,
her.
at least you got that. He and or she and or they or them.
They,
Uh,
them.
got that. Yeah. So you
Um,
killed a mouse and wrote a semi-humorous poem about it. All right, cool.
well, I guess it wasn't. I mean, it's got other qualities besides being humorous.
Yeah, all right.
But I think just the very act of writing a poem to a murdered mouse
There is
is a kind
something
of
just
dark
kind of
comedy.
funny. Yeah, yeah. I see what you mean. I feel that.
July 2. Ode to a Murdered Mouse. I wiped mouse juice off my kitchen floor and sprayed the space behind the trash can with apple cinnamon glade. You see, the murdered rodent did not qualify for Medicaid, nor did it send the sentinel cockroach, its tibia and tarsus too light to trigger the trap, out to hoover up the peanut butter in advance. Dizzy and desperate, it took matters into its own mouth. Blocks away, presumably in a sewer, a council of rats has condemned me for what I have always claimed is my right to defend myself. Their crushed comrade only makes their intifada more inevitable. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called the children of God. So I suppose this makes the rest of us nameless? I will remember the deceased by its stench. Black bagged and headed for an unmarked grave, perhaps the last scent to stick to its body will be the creamy peanut butter stuck to the flattened roof of its mouth.
Yeah, now that's another challenge I want to do for myself too. Like I don't think I've ever written a funny poem. I don't know if I'm capable of it. I think I might want to try. I guess that's probably the entry point is finding a humorous subject, not like just trying to be funny, like
Yeah,
thinking of something that's funny and writing about it.
yeah, yeah. What were the emotions that most often came up for you in your poems?
They were very sad. This is a
Yeah.
very sad. Yeah, this was a really, really fucking sad month of poetry for me. I've been really sad this past month. I feel like so
Okay.
it all went into that. Um, I think at the beginning of the month I was still like laid off of my job and shit too.
Oh yeah.
Um, yeah, so there was just a lot of like not good emotions going into this
Yeah.
little writing challenge. Um, I don't know if I've definitely written some poems that are a little bit happier before. I've definitely written a few like happier poems in my day. But not a single one this month was happy. I mean, it was a through line. It was literally that through line of like the beginning of it was like kind of a therapy session, and then kind of going
Yeah.
backwards through you know, like into the house that a lot of the poems took place in the house I grew up in and shit, and
Oh,
trying to
interesting.
revisit that type of that space and um, just the physicality of being in that house and like a lot of that shit. So like there was a lot of yeah, unpleasantness. I feel like so I guess yeah,
Yeah.
sad and unpleasant were the two words I would use to describe my poems this past month.
Yeah.
How about you? What were the emotions for yours?
Um, I just a little bit of everything. It was, kind of like uh bitterness and cynicism at oh, this stupid world I live in. But then there would also be like very I the ones that might hew closer to nature are going to be a little happier. The ones that are, I don't know, sometimes they're just like there were some good days where all the poem had to be was just like a little bit of spark of joy.
Okay.
And so um that was sort of uh it was like giving myself a spark of joy at the end of the day or something. This is kind of circling back to like, what do you like self censor about yourself? I think I have like a certain suspicion of especially getting a little too into my feelings, or getting a little too Drake with it, if you know what I mean.
Okay. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Where you can kind I like I'll catch myself. This was one of the things that I caught myself like almost in my own kayfabe of emotions, where I was like trying to use the poem to amplify it, an experience that didn't end up being, or I didn't feel like it deserved to be amplified, or I just felt like I was being a little too much. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think, I said I don't really censor myself, but I feel like,
When I
yeah,
talk
there's
about
poems.
censorship, it's like it's like a bullshit detector. I feel like as much as anything
Okay. Okay. All right. I feel
is
that.
sort of whether there's something that just feels bullshit about the activity of what I'm doing.
Gotcha. I've started writing poems before where yeah, that starts happening. The bullshit detector goes off
Yeah,
and okay, I guess I do that is yeah, I guess a form of like self-censorship or whatever there. Yeah, where the
yeah,
poem just feels like inauthentic in a way or like yeah,
yeah.
like just not right.
And
I
you
had
have
a
to,
few
yeah,
moments like that. Yeah.
you have to just for your own sanity, you have to develop this sort of like, okay, I just need to throw the bad shit away some days.
Yeah. I
Or
think
sometimes you just like, puke a bunch of bad stuff onto the page, and you're like, well, today's poem's going to be bad and short and incoherent, but
that's generally more what I do. Like I think it's rare that I actually throw something away completely, but there were a few this month where I really liked where the poem started or like the idea that maybe inspired the poem, but then as
okay.
I wrote it, I'm just like the bullshit detector went off and I'm
Yeah,
like
yeah,
this
yeah,
isn't going where I wanted it to go. Like I felt like there's something better that this like a better place that this could have led me or whatever. And generally, I just like write a few more lines of bullshit, and then I'm like, all right, packing it up. Like we'll come back to this one in a month or something like that, and we'll see if maybe we can find a better way to do this. But yeah, so I guess my like my version of that is just like yeah, like squirting a few lines of shit on the page and fucking
just squirting a few.
yeah, exactly, painting with it a little bit later.
Did this month cause you to read any more poetry than you otherwise would have?
No, no. Normally, yes. I have been so bad about reading for the past year now. I went like
Uh-huh.
crazy reading a couple years ago, and I read
Yep.
like whatever it was, like 100 books in the year or whatever. And the month of February, one month, I read a book a day, and like they were like
Yeah.
300 to 500 page books too. I just went totally crazy with it, and it's not a sustainable pace, which is like kind of a common thing with myself, and maybe something I dug into slightly this last time how I like overdo things and just don't have very good self control. But yeah, because ever since then I've just been so fucking bad about reading. Now I do teach a creative writing class, and I find poems for my students to read, and
Okay.
I read my students' poems, which some are good and some are you know. So
And some others were just a couple of squirts on the page that day that were not
like
fully.
literally sometimes like literally. Um, so you have no idea. I mean, I teach at a jail. That's where I do this.
Yeah.
Sometimes it is like
Yeah.
squirts on a page, but so so I get some reading in there. Like some of the most of the reading I've done has been like related to the jail, and then also I'm reading like student essays and shit for my other jobs. So yeah, most of my reading is just like student work now though, And there is some inspiration to be found in that. There is some like sometimes it'll like cause something to click or whatever. But no, I really need to start reading poetry again. Honestly, that book we were talking about in one of the like before we got started today, I don't know if it's in the
Hmm.
recording or not. That the F slur one that I'm not going to say the word because I
Yes.
feel like it can't make it onto your YouTube channel. Um, you know, that book I feel like killed my desire to read it all. Because it was just so weird and like not great, but like I felt like I
Oh
should
no.
like I was trying to I felt like I was trying to force myself to like it. I'm like I'm not a good gay
Oh,
guy if I
okay.
don't like this book. And
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
something like that. And yeah, like it's still in my gym bag actually. Like I was reading at the gym for a while on like the exercise bike. That was like my
Okay.
that's what I'm going to do. All right, you know what? This is my mid-year resolution. All right, like get closing in on end of year resolution. I'm going to start cuz I'm getting bro, I got a big old gut. I'm the heaviest I have ever been. I'm too heavy. I'm going to get back on that exercise bike. I'm going to read. I'm going to lose some weight,
You're gonna read
gain
your
some.
F slur books.
No, I'm not going to read any Efsler books. I'm tossing that book out of the gym bag. I'm going to read some poetry. That's what I'm going to do.
Okay.
That's gonna be my entryway back into reading. I'm going to read some poetry, and I'm going
Nice.
to read a real big boy book too.
A
So
real big boy book.
yeah, you know what's on my coffee table right now? No pasaran, however you say
Oh
it,
yeah.
pasaran.
No, that's not
The
on.
yeah, Matt Christman book. So I think
Yep.
maybe I'll read that. Maybe I'll that'll be my entryway back. The last book I read was Amber's book. Now I'll read Matt's, and
Yeah.
we'll just keep the Chapo thing going.
Well, and they had, didn't they just, don't they have
A
something else
comic
out?
book.
It's like a
They've got a
comic book.
comic
Yeah,
book.
yeah. They've
Yep,
got a comic
comic
book.
book. They got a comic. The boys and gal are writing comics now.
They can do that, like together, though. That's the thing. They're
Yeah,
allowed to do that now.
that's pretty. Yeah, they're letting podcasters write comic books now. This is
In the America,
crazy.
Joe Biden grew up, and you couldn't
They
have
didn't do
both a
that.
lady and
Yeah.
a man working on comics.
Yeah, exactly. Especially not ones who were like, like Joe Biden would think of them as radio folk. And, the radio folk weren't making comics back then.
Maybe they should have been.
Maybe they should have
Um,
been.
okay, so let's see. What? Oh, okay. Here's a really good question that I skipped around from. But what does a good poem feel like?
Man, that is a good question. Because I don't think I have like a real answer for that. I think a good poem feels good when you read like feels right, feels authentic, feels true. When you were talking about the bullshit meter or whatever going off when
Hmm.
you're writing something, I think sometimes when I read poems, a bullshit meter goes off towards that poem, or just like I don't feel like anything from the poem. So I think all right, for me, writing a good poem
Hmm.
feels like I captured some sort of truth. Like it feels
Yeah.
like I captured something important and true, and like that the truth I was trying to capture like came out. Like that's what it feels like. Like sometimes I just am like, okay, yes, this is exactly like what I wanted to like say. It came out like
Yeah.
the way I wanted to say it. So
And like
so for me as a yeah
the it, if I can add, I feel like I
yeah
have a similar feeling as you, but it's like you capture the truth, and that truth is rather elusive, or
yes
like just it's hard to conjugate, and you conjugated it in like a very difficult, unique way.
Yeah, exactly. Because I mean, like, all right, like talking about the subject matter of my poems, it's easy to say, like, oh yeah, like I would, fucking, yeah, I guess maybe it's not easy to say this, but like I was abused as a child and like blah blah blah. Like
Yeah.
it's easy to like explain like a thing or whatever. But when you're doing it through poetry, you're trying to capture a more elusive element of it. Like you're trying to say something kind of different about that experience than just like the rational truth of it or whatever. Like you're getting at some other kind of truth with it that is a lot more elusive, and that takes poetry to really like get to. So yeah, when you hit that elusive truth just right, um, that's what a good poem feels like. Now, when I'm reading poetry, I don't think I'm necessarily chasing elusive truths all the time. Sometimes it's just like, holy fuck, those words sound really good together. Like sometimes it's as simple as that. Like
Yeah.
I just really like the way those words all sound together. I really like the image that it kind of like created. I say this as someone who has a black hole in his head, who can't like see images or whatever. Like can't imagine, have no imagination. But like when like poetry conjures a certain like, um, I can still rationalize images. I can still understand images, even if I can't
Yeah.
visibly see them. Um, yeah, when a poem does that, like that's good for me too. Or sometimes, like when it does make me see some truth. There was like Ilya Kaminsky. God, I'm gonna butcher the exact line, uh, but there was one of his poems that was like. Uh, Something about love and baths. Like love is like
Baths like
taking a
bathing and
bath.
showering. Okay.
Yeah, and I forgot exactly what he said. Like I don't. I feel it can't be love is taking a bath with someone like that. It wasn't that, but it's like something along the lines of that. And the way he put it in that poem was just like really simple and kind of beautiful. And like,
I think I
I want to
found
say
it.
it's okay. Yeah,
You step out of the shower and the entire nation calms. A
no,
drop of lemon egg shampoo. No? Well, I'm going to read
keep
this
going.
anyway. You
Okay.
smell like bees. A brief kiss. I don't know anything about you except the spray of freckles on your shoulders, which makes me feel so thrillingly alone. I stand on earth in my pajamas. Wait for it. Penis sticking out for years in your direction.
Is that the full poem?
I don't know. It's just a quote on Goodreads.
Okay, that might actually be the poem that it like. That might be the one that it's from because I do remember that penis line.
Okay.
Of course, I
Nice.
remember that penis line. Penis sticking out in yours in your direction or whatever. All right, I
Yeah.
like that a lot too. All right, yeah, that's a really good line to a poem.
For
Um,
your direction. Yeah.
yeah, there was another one. I mean, like that whole collection is really really fucking good. I like all of his poems a lot. Um,
Okay.
oh God, I don't remember any of the direct line. It's 11 o'clock. I've had a long day. You expect me to conjure up lines from poems right now? How dare you?
Yes.
Um, but yeah. So when they make you see some like, I really like the band Modest Mouse a lot. And what I like about that, I know you don't. I know you don't. You're making a face now. I don't know if you're just doing audio for this later when you actually upload it, but I want the listeners, viewers, whoever to know that you're making a face at me. But what I really like about
Look at how
Modest Mouse,
sensitive he is. Look at how immediately he had to jump to their defense just because of a couple eyebrow wiggles.
I'm not jumping to their defense. I know you don't like them. I don't give a fuck that you don't like them though. But like
Yeah,
what I
you were
really
very
like about
defensive.
them,
You were preemptively
what
defensive.
what I really like about them is that they can take really really simple things and express them in really beautiful ways that like make you see like some sort of like deeper beauty or deeper truth or deeper something to that thing. They read a lot of lyrics about dirt and nature and just like, very, very like in a very simple way, but that makes you see something like profoundly beautiful about it. And Ilya Kaminsky, there's something in some of his poems about love that are just like some of these like very simple acts that the way he describes them show some deeper love. I don't know. Even the penis
Yeah.
sticking for years in your direction thing is actually like it's kind of
But
silly, but
that's
it's like
it.
it's a
Yeah,
really yeah, it's cool.
it is both humor and also like, nah, man, I totally get, the I totally get like the romantic like thing behind a penis sticking, years in your direction or whatever.
Yeah.
exactly what.
Yeah, it's like it is like surprisingly romantic
Yeah,
for, a line about a dick. So yeah, it's yeah, stuff like that.
it's efficient. We
It is.
love
It's very.
efficient, multifaceted.
There we go.
Um, yeah. Okay. What was and you don't have to read it, but what was your favorite poem about for the month?
God, it's so hard to say because so many of mine blended together, and I do feel like when I edit these, I'm going to mush a lot of them into like one longer poem.
Okay.
Like I feel like there's probably like maybe for the whole month, if I'm really being um, like I feel like I could turn it into like maybe two or three poems. Like the
Yeah.
whole month's worth of work could turn into like
Interesting.
two or three kind of longer poems. And I've never really written long
Yeah.
poems before. I've written one that was kind of long, but like generally my poems are like real short. So
Yeah, me too.
yeah, it's really 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 hard to say what my favorite poem is, but I do think I really liked the finger device that I was using, and like I really felt like that was provided a like doing the EMDR thing kind of in the poem.
Yeah.
Um, was a cool like was a device that I was like really happy with this time, and then the other device that I was kind of like really happy with this time was like when I was writing about that friend who I had the falling out with. I kept playing with like the laws of physics a little bit, or like
Okay.
like a lot of like sciencey stuff, and
Okay.
was like playing with this device of like um, different rules of physics, kind of, and like one person operating on one and the other person operating on
Okay.
another, and like the confusion of that, or like I don't know, it sounds corny fucking saying that now, god damn it, but I like the way it worked in the poems. Like I was having a little bit of fun with some of that, and like like just kind of like two completely different worlds kind of like in a similar space.
Yeah. Have you ever read the book Einstein's Dreams?
I haven't. Who wrote
Yeah,
it?
it's Alan Lightman.
Ooh.
Um and it's like a bunch of flash fiction.
Okay.
And but it's all they're all these kind of crazy sort of conceptual stories. Um it's sort of like magic. It's like a collection of magical realism stories all about time, and so it'll be like sort of taking like the concept of relativity but putting it in like a city square, or
Oh, interesting.
clocking it according to like the feelings of people or something. And it's just like I think it's like dozens of stories in it, and
Very
they're all
interesting.
done in, yeah, very sweet and kind of precious ways.
Okay. Do you have that? Do you have it?
I think I just got rid of it, honestly.
Well, fuck. All right. Well,
It's
maybe
an
I'll have to just
incredibly
go and get it
common
myself.
book.
Okay.
Ask Liz if she has it. She's got to have it.
She's gotta have it. I'm going to help her move next week,
She's one of
this
those
weekend.
types.
Yeah, she's got it. I'll find it in her moving stuff and make her give it to me as a reward, or lend it to me as a reward for helping her move.
Yeah. Mhm. Um. Well, Matt.
All right. Hang
Go
on.
ahead.
This can be our final question that we explore, because I think
Okay.
I told you that big hack, my biggest hack for this, when I just don't have it in me to write a poem one day,
Yeah.
I write a haiku. I
Okay.
write a
Yep.
little
Yep. Yep.
haiku, and I churn a little haiku out. And sometimes I'll do like complicated haikus where I'll be like, all right, I'm gonna do 131 and then 353, and then we'll like scale up and scale down, like, and I go as long as I can with it, and then scale back down to 131 again. Um, and I see it kind of like, I don't know, like steps or like a pyramid of sorts, or like whatever. Um, but how many haikus did you write this month?
5.
Oh, bro, I wrote five, five haikus. Awesome.
And we both did one on like the last day of the month, didn't we?
We both did one on the
Yeah.
last day of the month when we were like, all right, I'm fucking sick of this poetry thing. Let's just close it out on a haiku.
I I I got 11 days in before I did my first haiku.
Ooh, that's a good question. All right, here, hang on. Let me see. Let
I
me
think
see.
it was. Yep, yep.
I don't. I think it's probably sooner for me. Fuck. My first haiku. Oh, guess what it was for me?
The first
Nope.
3 days.
Nope. Day 4,
Day 4.
and then
You
day
re-
9. So I got two haikus in before your first.
nice.
Yeah.
So
Then I
day
went a
4.
while with
So
that
you
one.
wrote a haiku on 4th of July?
Yes, and that was exactly why I wrote a haiku that day because I had a busy day and people were at my house too late, and
Dear, dear.
my poor dog was freaking the fuck out.
Oh, yeah. He's gonna do that.
Yes, it was too hard to write poetry that day, so haiku.
I had a great subject of poetry that day because that was the day when I told you this story about I saw the guys getting the motorcycle wreck.
Oh yeah,
Oh
you
yeah.
wrote about that.
I wrote that was my longest poem of the month.
Oh, interesting.
Was like that whole scene of it because it really was like the most surreal, bizarre scene
Yeah, it
uh,
sounds like it.
that I lived through because the entire time that it was happening, just all these fireworks are going off overhead, like like as the wreck is happening and as we pull over and as we're like running out after him. It was pretty
Very
insane.
crazy. Yeah, I can only imagine, Nate. I can only imagine. Maybe I won't have to imagine though when I read your poem.
Exactly. So we're definitely gonna read these some poems in public at some point, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I'm really actually excited about it. I've got a few that I think I'm happy enough with to read. So not this month, I guess, because it's already past this month. Is it? Was it tonight?
Yeah, it was tonight.
Okay, yeah. So, anyways, not this month, but yeah, let's get it done next month. I think it would be fun to do that. I'll have plenty of time to edit a few of mine, make them readable by then.
Hell yeah. Looking forward to it.
Cool.
Matt, thanks for doing this with me. Do you have any pluggables that you would like to plug?
Listen to my podcast. It's Nate is on it too. It's called Etymology of Nonsense. I think it's pretty funny. And yes, episodes. Ideally, 2 episodes a week, but that is all dependent on my ability to edit, which is not that great. So, Etymology of Nonsense. Check us out on Patreon. That's my only plug.
There will be a link in the description. Uh, yes, Matt, thanks for doing a poem of a day for me. And for all of you listeners, do a poem a day thing. Find a friend. Not Matt or me. We're busy. But
Yeah, find
find a
find some
friend.
other guy.
Find a friend in the
Yeah, or
comments,
gal.
guys. Come on. Make
Yeah.
friends down there. Do poems.
Really is I think a great challenge and a fun thing to do.
Exactly. All right. Bye, everyone.